Hello and welcome back to Manifold Mind. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Across the entire Orion Concord, every species knew one thing about humans: they were dangerous. Not politically or technologically, but biologically. At least, that was the rumor. Princess Alira Vashari, second daughter of the Lysarian stellar throne, sat stiffly in the Senate chamber, trying to ignore the topic being debated: interstellar marriage treaties. The Lysarian population growth had slowed dramatically, and to stabilize alliances and genetic diversity, the royal family occasionally arranged cross-species unions. Most were diplomatic, some even worked. But now a new proposal had arrived: a human Lysarian cultural exchange program. And that meant human males were now considered potential partners. Alira shivered. Her friend leaned in, whispering, "Princess, you're thinking about the rumors again." "I'm not," Alira said quickly, but her friend knew better. "Have you read the biological reports?" Alira finally admitted, her voice low. "Human males are described as aggressive, territorial, stubborn, irrational, protective, emotionally unpredictable." She trailed off, and her friend prompted. Alira's voice dropped even lower, and apparently alarmingly compatible with Lysarian genetics. Her friend blinked. "That part sounds good." "That part," Alira insisted, "sounds terrifying." Later that evening, Alira paced nervously in the moonlit palace garden. She stared at the datapad in her hands, scrolling through the official council research. Human males, extremely resilient, highly protective of bonded partners, exceptional parental instincts, strong genetic compatibility. Then there were the unofficial notes, the stories, the rumors, the tales told by diplomats and soldiers. Human men who fought entire pirate crews to save their partners. Human husbands who crossed half the galaxy for a kidnapped spouse. Human fathers who treated their children like sacred treasures. Alira rubbed her temples. "That sounds exhausting." Her advisor cleared his throat gently. "Your Highness." "Yes?" "The first human envoy arrives tomorrow." Alira froze. "What? Why wasn't I told?" "You were. You assumed it was cancelled." "It was not," her advisor stated flatly. Alira groaned dramatically. "Wonderful. I'm going to meet a barbarian." The next morning, the royal hangar was filled with curious nobles. Alira stood on a balcony overlooking the platform as the human diplomatic shuttle landed with a soft hiss. Her advisor whispered, "Remember, humans are direct." The ramp opened, and out stepped a man in simple formal attire. He looked normal. Tall, with broad shoulders, dark hair, and a calm expression. Nothing about him screamed barbarian. The court murmured, "That's a human. He doesn't look dangerous. He looks polite." The human approached the royal platform and bowed slightly. "My name is Daniel Morrison, diplomatic envoy of the United Human Systems." His voice was warm and steady. Then he looked up, and his eyes met Alira's. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then the human smiled, a genuine, not political smile. Alira felt something strange flutter in her chest and quickly looked away. Later that day, they met privately in the palace gardens. Alira kept a careful distance. Daniel seemed far too relaxed. "Your world is beautiful," he said, admiring the glowing trees. "Thank you," she replied stiffly. After an awkward silence, she just came out with it. "I heard humans are barbaric." Daniel blinked. "Well, that's a new opening line." She folded her arms. Is it true? He laughed. Depends on who you ask. You're not denying it. We're protective, he corrected. That sounds aggressive. Only if someone threatens our people, he clarified. Alira studied him. You seem calm. Daniel shrugged. I'm an engineer. Most humans aren't soldiers. This surprised her. But the rumors love drama, he interrupted. Alira relaxed slightly. Maybe the stories were just exaggerated. Maybe humans weren't so bad after all. Then Daniel said something that made her nearly choke. So, I heard Lysarians think reproduction with humans is dangerous. Her face turned bright violet. Who told you that? Half the galactic internet, he said with a grin. Alira tried to regain her composure. That is a misinterpretation of scientific data. Sure, Daniel said, clearly amused. You're not afraid of humans? Of course not. Good, he said, leaning against a stone railing. Because humans are usually the ones who panic. Why? She asked, confused. Daniel shrugged. Alien princesses are intimidating. Alira stared. Me? Yeah. You're not intimidated. He thought for a moment. A little. Why? Because you're cute. Alira's brain stopped working. Her royal dignity evaporated. What excuse? Daniel laughed softly. You're adorable when you panic. Humans are extremely inappropriate, she managed to say. That's also in the reports, he replied, still smiling. Over the next few weeks, they spent more time together, walking through gardens, visiting city markets, and talking for hours. And slowly, Alira realized something. The rumors about humans weren't wrong. They were just incomplete. Humans were protective. Daniel once calmly but firmly confronted a rude noble who insulted the palace staff. Humans were stubborn. During a mountain excursion, he refused to leave until an injured worker was safely evacuated. And humans were emotionally intense. When Alira mentioned feeling overwhelmed by her royal duties, Daniel just listened for hours without judgment or interruption. He was just there. And that scared her more than any rumor, because she was starting to like him. A lot. One evening during a diplomatic festival, they stood on a balcony overlooking the city lights. Alira finally asked the question that had been haunting her. Daniel? Yeah? She hesitated. Would you ever marry an alien? Daniel blinked. Well, that's direct. It's hypothetical, she said quickly, looking away. He studied her for a moment, then said quietly, if I loved her. Alira's heart skipped a beat. And if she was afraid of humans? Daniel smiled softly. I'd prove she doesn't need to be. She finally met his gaze again. Even if her family thinks you're a barbarian, he chuckled. Princess. Humans have a long history of marrying people our families don't approve of. Weeks later, during a formal diplomatic banquet, Alira watched Daniel from across the room. He was talking with scientists and engineers, looking completely at ease, completely genuine. And she realized something terrifying. She had already fallen for him. Her advisor leaned in. You're staring again. I'm evaluating diplomatic compatibility, she lied. Sure. Alira stood suddenly. Excuse me. She walked straight across the hall toward Daniel. He looked up as she approached. Princess? She took a deep breath. I have reached a conclusion. That sounds serious. It is. The entire hall slowly went quiet. Alira lifted her chin proudly. I would like to attempt reproduction with the barbaric earthling. Absolute silence. Then Daniel burst out laughing. Wow, Alira blushed furiously. That sounded better in my head. Daniel gently took her hand. I'd be honored. The royal court eventually recovered from the shock. The marriage was approved, and celebrations lasted for weeks. The galaxy watched with fascination as a Lysarian princess chose a human husband. And the rumors continued to spread, but now they had a new story to tell, the story of Princess Alira and Daniel Morrison. 1 year later, the royal nursery was delightful chaos. A tiny hybrid baby with glowing silver eyes giggled as floating toys orbited the room. Daniel carefully held the child. Okay. You definitely got your mother's energy. Alira laughed from the doorway, and their daughter immediately reached for her. The princess scooped her up, smiling warmly. You see? Alira teased Daniel. Human reproduction wasn't so terrifying after all. Daniel grinned. Worth the risk? Alira kissed him gently. Absolutely. Across the galaxy, people still told stories about humans, their courage, their stubborn loyalty, their chaotic hearts. But Alira knew the real truth. Humans weren't barbarians. They were something far more dangerous. They were devoted. And once a human loved you, they never stopped. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.